This is an ad by BetterHelp. BetterHelp recently surveyed over 16,000 people and found that while 75% of people believe it's wise to seek support, only 27% of Americans are in therapy, and people stay silent to avoid being judged. BetterHelp has over 10 years of experience matching you with the right therapist. Because we're all better with help. Visit BetterHelp.com/stopthestigma for their first ever State of Stigma report, the latest in mental health research.
Always follow the money. That's what I always say. You always follow the money. Yeah.
This is Follow the Money with Mitch Moss and Pauly Howard on VSiN.
Welcome in. Follow the Money here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Mitch Moss along with Pauly Howard. This show is brought to you by DraftKings, and the man in charge of their sportsbook joins us now, Johnny Avello. Johnny, thanks for the time today. How was the weekend?
Went really well, guys. Saturday, the two games, I love the way they're positioned, to 1:30 to 5:15, a lot of time in between games, a lot of time to get your bets in after the first game. They did, in that game, they did bet the Texans, and in the second game, they bet the 49ers. So the 49ers winning and not covering was an excellent result. So, good day on Saturday. Yesterday, they played the Lions. They played the Bills. So a couple of splits there on pretty much the straight money, but still overall a good day for us.
We were just talking about this in the previous segment, kicking around the idea of the Bills running it back next year. I don't think they can do that. Neither does Pauly. What do you think?
Here's what I think is that the Bills have probably the first or second best quarterback in the league. They have nothing to show for it. They've pretty similar team to the Chiefs over the last 5-6 years. And so I think it comes down to coaching. I think Sean McDermott does a really poor job, and I think they need a change there. That if you want to win, the difference has got to be Andy Reid. So I just think they make poor choices, poor game choices, and I just never felt yesterday that the Bills were going to win that game. I just thought that eventually, if Kansas City needed to score at some point, they would get the job done. So even if the Bills got the touchdown there late, the Chiefs would have probably came down and scored. I mean, they were just going through them pretty easily.
Totally agree.
Yeah. If you can't win this one, right? This was how bad were the Chiefs this year offensively, and you finally get them at home, and you still can't beat them. What were you thinking before the field goal? Were you thinking any way Bass was going to make that?
I knew it was going to be a tough one. I mean, the confidence level certainly wasn't high from him on his kicks. So, you had wind swirling. So the play calling was awful, guys. You got the middle of the field's open, for 6-7 yards every play.
Yep.
And they're trying to run with Cook, who to me has got the slowest first step in football as a running back. I just don't know. I mean, for a team with so many weapons, for them to be kind of shut down when they get in that red zone a lot is something's wrong.
Did you have a lot of liability built up on the Bills when they were around 6-6 and their numbers ballooned out to where they were to win the AFC and the Super Bowl? We
did. We had the initial liability on them, and then, of course, when they were 6-6, we had them up in the 60-75 to 1 range. So we certainly had liability on them then. And so, they were, I think they were our biggest loss of all the teams that were left.
How big was that? And considering here, do you remember how long you guys were on that Lions-Buccaneers game, maybe Lions minus 6.5 there? And based on that number then, how big was that missed 2-point conversion by the Buccaneers?
Well, we bounced back and forth between 6 and 6.5 a few times on that game. So, that would have been a very poor result, that game falling 6. So, we definitely did escape that one. I don't know, guys. The analytics that the coaches are using, I heard Mike Tirico say why they did it, but I just still don't understand it. I think get the extra point, because if you miss it, I think it takes air out of the team. I think some of the momentum's gone when you miss that. And I just don't understand of why you're going to try to win the game if you need you need another score to win the game. You just should try to get back in the game to tie it. So leave the analytics to the odds makers. I think these guys should go back to basic football.
Okay, so it feels to me like the Lions are going to be a very public team this week against the 49ers. We're seeing some early reports here that Deebo Samuel might be around 50-50 to play this week, and we know what he means overall. In fact, that's what Adam Schefter just tweeted out. He's 50-50 if he can play this weekend. If he can't go, that's somewhat of a game changer. Are you seeing just nothing but early money here on the Lions?
Well, we did open this game 6.5 last night. We got pushed to 7 early, and now this morning we're seeing Lion money, so we're back at 6.5. So for us, we've seen the action both ways, telling us that at least at this point, that 7 is not the right number. 6.5, the opener, was the right number. So, we'll see where that goes from here. Deebo's going to play, guys. He'll certainly play, and they still got a lot of offensive weapons. And Lions just had 2 playoff games at home. Now they're going to go on the road. It's a little more difficult spot. Not that they can't win this one. They're playing with a high level of confidence, but you still got to beat the king. You got to knock the king off the pulpit. And as far as I'm concerned, that the 49ers they're another one of those teams that can score when they need to get that final score. They find a way to get it done.
What do you anticipate in the first game? Where it's going to be? Is it going to be I have to take the points with Mahomes, and he's been great as an underdog, or is it the Ravens have been the best team and been so good at home all year?
Yeah, the Ravens are a little bit different style team. They'll show you times of the game where there's lulls, but their defense is certainly better than the Bills' defense. This game is going to be a minimum of 3 - 20. Doesn't get pushed to 3.5. We haven't gone there yet. I guess there's a possibility, but in a big game like this with a Chief team who's used to winning and keeping games close, I think 3.5 is probably a take. That's why we're sitting at this 3 - 20 right now. And but could we reach 3.5? Yeah, I think we can get there, guys. But then probably with light juice on the Ravens at 3.5.
Yeah, it's not going to go to 3 flat, as you said, because people who are going to want to get 3.5 are just going to be patient, and I'm sure that's going to show at some point. So hence the -120 right now is what I'm guessing here. They have been elite, Johnny, against really good teams this year. They have 11 wins against teams over 500, and when they show up and bring their A game, I mean, how many times have we seen it where they pound these opponents into submission?
Yeah, that's kind of true. By the time the game's over, we have seen that. But the games seem to be close when during the whole game you don't feel that's going to happen. So they kind of run away at the end. Andrews back is a big deal for them. So they're a very fast team. They're a well coached team. Lamar Jackson, I don't put him in the same class. I really don't with a Mahomes and an Allen, but he is, he's a good runner. He throws the ball pretty well. I just think those other 2 guys are special. I put him in a category. I put those guys in A+.
Who MVPs, Johnny? Come on.
Yeah, I know it. He is MVP. He's going to win the award MVP. I get all that, but who would you have in the game? Who would you like to have in the game? Probably Mahomes would be your number 1 guy, right?
Oh, he's number 1.
Yes,
yeah.
I would take Jackson over Allen, though.
You wouldn't. And, I think I'm going to go back to what I said. I think Allen could be coached a little bit differently. You can't keep running like this, guys. Cam Newton found that out. Over years, you just can't keep taking off with the ball in this league. And so Allen's, he's still going to do it, and he's still a threat, but I don't know if you can have design plays for quarterbacks running a lot during the course of the game. They're going to get their bell rung eventually.
There you go. What's your best case scenario for a Super Bowl? Which matchup do you want to see?
I think the 49ers Chiefs is probably a good result for us if both of those teams make it. There has been some Raven money, and there certainly has been some Lion money. The Lions were in the double digits mostly the whole year, except for this final week. But there's certainly been some Lion play all year long.
All right, there you go. DraftKings Sportsbook Director, Sports Betting Hall of Famer Johnny Avello. Thanks, Johnny. We appreciate the time.
You're welcome, guys. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Yep, you too.
Johnny doesn't like it. I do. I didn't like the play call, but why go for 2? Down 8. The odds of converting a 2-point conversion once in one try higher than failing twice.
Yeah, it's around 5%?
Yeah, that's what Colin, yep.
On the 2-point conversion.
If the team converts on the first 2-point try, it only needs the extra point on the second touchdown to win the game. If I fail, I know I got to go for it the second time. Kicking 2 extra points maximizes the chance to reach overtime. Attempting a 2-point conversion when down 8 maximizes the chance to win the game, which is the ultimate goal. And I go back to what LaFleur did earlier this year when they beat the Saints.
Yeah.
And he did it and it worked out.
It's happening more and more.
I mean, just people love to play the result, though. They love to say, I told you so if it doesn't work. You don't hear a damn word if it works.
Right.
But when it fails and you're down 8, then it's when you got these artifacts and relics and the Phil Simms and all the Bill Cowers about, oh, no, what are you doing?
Oh, it's all results based.
Yes.
You're right, because how many people were saying, those same people would say when LaFleur did that against the Saints, unbelievable job. That's what they probably didn't. They probably avoided the topic altogether.
No one said a word.
You know?
Absolutely right.
Right. And so when Todd Bowles did that against the Bills earlier this year in a primetime game,
Yes.
they scored. It was 24-18. Okay, if they get the ball back and score again, then they kick the extra point, win 25-24. Again, probably not a peep. Well, maybe at that point they would, because that was a primetime game, but you get my point.
Johnny also said it wasn't a bad landing spot when the Houston game fell 44.
Yeah.
That surprised me.
Maybe not as much action as
Yeah, right. But 46 was available and 43.5 was available. And then it comes 44.
You like the over in the Chiefs-Ravens game? That we said earlier?
No, I think the Lions game.
Lions game?
So it's high scoring, yeah.
Let's follow the money here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Up next, win some, lose some. A moose in a basketball game. Honestly, this should be impossible. Pauly with the details next.
Were you a winner last night?
Wow, winning.
Or was it a rough one?
Well, they can't all be winners, can they?
Loser! You're a loser!
Pauly Howard recaps the night in sports betting in Win Some, Lose Some.
Great weekend as always. Recapping all the action and props. Most points, Ravens plus 450. Fewest points, Texans plus 270. Most yards passing, Baker Mayfield, 6-1. Most rushing yards, Aaron Jones, 5-1. Mike Evans had the most receiving yards at 8-1. First touchdown, Aguilar, 17-1. Reynolds, 17-1. Kittle, 8-1. Josh Allen, 6-1. Baker Mayfield, over 2.5 touchdown passes, 4-1. Our guy in the cornfield, Wes, put together his tight end parlay, anytime touchdown. Otten, Kelsey, Likely, Kittle, 78-1. Tweeted out, and a lot of people joined him with that one as well. That was well done. Each team to have a touchdown and a field goal in the first half of the Chiefs game, plus 340. Bucks Lions, plus 310. Texans Ravens, plus 450. Every team with a touchdown and a field goal in the game at DraftKings, that paid 7-1. Every team that scored a touchdown this weekend, $2. Every team with at least 10 points, minus 130. Ravens to win between 19 and 24 points, that cashes at 6-1. Houston to score in both halves, no, plus 450. Defensive or special teams touchdown in that game, plus 270. Punt return in that game, 9-1 for a touchdown. Dobbs, most receiving yards in the San Francisco Green Bay game, paid 8-1. Successful 2-point conversion in that game, yes, plus 280. Allen, 2 rushing touchdowns, 5-1. That gets there as well. UFC, Duplessis by decision, 10-1. What a come-from-behind win and upset by Neil Magny, who was down 2 rounds to none, and then with a minute left, wins by knockout. He was plus 270 to win. He was 10-1 by knockout. He was 30-1 to win in round 3. I can't imagine what he was in play. Tavares by decision, 7-1. Robertson by knockout, 8-1 to win in round 2, 5-1. Flick in round 2, 10-1. Jasad Vizovic, what are you going to do? Yep, 7-1 with that win. How about Bundesliga in soccer? Werder Bremen, 25-1, beat Bayern Munich. Bayern Munich had scored a goal 65 games in a row at home, and it was their first loss to them in 28 meetings. Rotherham Middlesbrough also draw plus 430 in English Championship League. College basketball upsets. Pitt beat Duke. They were 6-1. West Virginia plus 430 beat Kansas. VMI was 4-1. Louisiana Monroe plus 550. The Edmonton Oilers, 13 wins in a row. Longest for a Canadian team. 9 in a row on the road is the franchise record, which is a little bit convoluted because, again, even with those Gretzky teams, you had ties back then as well. But 13 wins in a row. What a job. And how about this? The amateur. Nick Dunlap won the American Express 300-1. The first amateur to win since 1991. How about the tickets that have cashed so far in golf this year?
A 200, as high as 525-1, and then Dunlap 3, 4, or 500-1 this last weekend as well. That's the first 3 winners.
Nuts.
Are books writing any tickets at all on these guys?
I can't imagine. 1 or 2, that's it. And if you saw the commercials nonstop during the Lions game on NBC, Deal or No Deal Island coming in February to NBC. It's the game show where you had to pick the briefcase with the money in it. Well, now you have to go out in the elements and try to fight a crocodile or something and grab the briefcase. I'm on board.
You got to swim through the piranhas, I think.
Yeah, right. Subscribe, be part of the team, VSiN.com, our radio and podcast friends. You always want to see these tweets and videos. How about this for this is a lose some. Maybe win some. Look at the guy eating a sandwich at the Lions game. Number 1, can he finish it? Number 2, why would you want... It's bigger than he is. How much does it cost, and why would... I can't imagine. Where do you even begin with something like this? Look at this video.
Okay, because that doesn't look very shareable either, right?
Right.
Because you're going to have to get your sweaty hands in there and pull off parts of the sandwich. Hey, I'll take some of that, no problem. Yeah. So that appears to be the setup for one person only, and then that's stacked 10 high. Joey Chestnut, minute 45 seconds.
Yeah, right. There it is. What incredible picture that is. The guy at the Lions game. That's nuts. Here we go. Family portrait. The mom, the dad, and the Rottweiler. Everyone down, say cheese. Damn, nailed it. There, that's awesome. The Rottweiler with the smile, and then you have the couple lean on everyone's going sideways, lean on each other's head, and the Rottweiler knows. Yeah,
here's what we're going to do.
That is great.
We're both going to pin our gigantic Rottweiler down to the ground, put our faces next to him, and then with all of our weight on top of the guy, and he'll smile.
I love that dog. That's why one of the reasons I got Jordan. He's the color. My beagle is the color of a Rottweiler. I've never seen a beagle that color. But I rave reviews for Rottweilers.
If Rottweilers would stay the size they are as puppies, I'd have 100 of them.
Yeah, big fellas. I know. How about this? I was here Saturday. What a time at Circa. Derek Stevens was at the Lions game. But look at this. It's SRO here. Look at upstairs to watch the games. And that on the side shot is people at Victory Burger at the restaurant sitting down and trying to watch the game. And then you got people huddled around the machines, the bar, in the sports book. Couldn't move. Absolute pandemonium here. One lose some. The Niners from 9.5 up to 10.5. That was no good. And bad for the books. Texans, Ravens under 46 down to 43.5. That fell 44. And the bad beats. And there were plenty of them. How about yesterday? While the Lions game was going on, the Clippers were at home against the Nets. The Clippers were laying 10.5. The Nets led by 11 with 5 minutes left. It was 114 to 103. 22-0 run to close out the game by the Clippers. They covered. The Nets also were up 6 with 4 minutes. But again, up 11 with 5:33. Didn't score the rest of the game.
I'm not joking.
Oh.
That should be impossible.
Right. Especially, it's not like the Nets can't score.
Clearly they were having their way with them.
No kidding. Yeah, but that's Texans-Ravens, first half over. Fairbairn misses from 47. Every Houston road game went under in the first half this year, 9-0. Packers money line plus 370. The Niners were 0-30, went down 7+ entering the fourth quarter with Shanahan. Liverpool, Bournemouth under 3 or 3.5. No score at halftime. 2-0, 78th minute. 2 late goals by Liverpool. And also one I forgot, the gift that keeps on giving. The Kansas City Chiefs. 18-1 to the under this year in the fourth quarter. 17-2 to the under in the second half.
Think about what had to happen to keep that streak alive
that too,
yesterday.
right? Yep. DraftKings Sportsbook, official sports betting partner of the NFL playoffs. Bet $5 in any game, get $200 instantly in bonus bets. Download the app, use code VSiN, only on DraftKings Sportsbook. Plethora of props already up for the 2-game Sunday. Code VSiN. Crown is yours at DraftKings.
Now, when we talked to Johnny Avello from DraftKings 15 minutes ago, he said, guys, Deebo Samuel's going to play. After I told him that Adam Schefter tweeted out the 49ers consider it 50-50 as to whether he's going to be able to play on Sunday night against the Lions. If they're saying 50-50 already in the week, isn't that a little bit more alarming to you than what Johnny said?
It's been a problem earlier this year, right? With that looked like an innocuous hit.
Oh, yeah.
I thought it was a concussion maybe coming in. But it was shoulder. And then it's...
Like when he was walking off on the sidelines and eventually had the pads off, you knew he was going to come back.
Right. But he goes into the tent, I'm thinking, okay.
He never had like a grimacing look on his face.
Yeah.
Like everything's okay here. It might be a concussion, but no like painful injury elsewhere that's going to keep him out of this game and potentially the NFC title game. Be a big loss, though. You know what that guy means to the team?
Absolutely. Well, they only have 2 losses when he's been in there, right?
Is that the number?
Yeah, I think he played in the Ravens game, but that was when Purdy imploded.
Well, isn't it
I think
when it's Purdy, McCaffrey, when it's off, they don't, yeah.
I think he missed every game when they had the losing streak in the middle there, if I recall. But that's enormous. And now you got a 6.5 here already on a game at Circa.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, typically I think a team on a very early Monday morning might make it a little bit more hopeful than that.
Okay, Deebo doesn't play. Niners lose. Purdy has 3 interceptions. What happens next year? You ready to have that discussion?
No, I think they're going to run it back with him.
They're going to run it back?
I mean, he's on the rookie contract, so and look at how successful they were for the in regular season, all with the exception of 1 game against the Ravens when he was terrible. Well, you want a different quarterback? Give me your game plan then.
I don't know. They try to get a different guy every year.
They might draft somebody. I won't put it past them to do that. But it's not like Purdy would get beat.
If he gets off to a slow start and is erratic and you don't have Samuel, can you imagine what Shanahan's doing? I mean, this is... But then again, you should have been running the ball more anyways. I can't believe the lack of creativity I watched Saturday. Well, where's the screens? We're getting McCaffrey involved.
Here's what I want to happen. I want him to look magnificent against the Lions and throw for like 380.
Uh-huh.
And then the Niners to play their absolute A game, and then for that number to get juiced up against the Ravens or the Chiefs in the Super Bowl and come back on the other side. Michael Lombardi on the show coming up next. If we get an upset this weekend, who will it be? Coming up on Follow the Money. It's VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
Start your morning with a daily dose of winning strategies, insider tips, and the latest buzz with the free VSiN daily newsletter. Adam Burke previews both championship games today and talks about how big the Samuel injury is. Expert analysis, latest odds straight to your inbox, absolutely free. VSiN.com/newsletter to subscribe. Go get it.
Michael Lombardi joins the program now, longtime NFL executive. His show, Lombardi Line, here on VSiN is at 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific, and the podcast is called GM Shuffle, comes out twice a week. Michael, good morning. Thanks for the time as always. We appreciate that. The Bills cannot get beyond the biggest hurdle in their way, and that is named Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. We've kicked this around a few times on the show today. Do you think the Bills will make any drastic changes now that their season's done?
I mean, I can't think so. I mean, he's 4-5 in playoff games, Sean McDermott, 5-6 with Josh Allen. You know, for all the people that stand out there and scream that Belichick's a horrendous coach, but he had Tom Brady. Well, how do they handle this one? How do they handle this? Is with Josh Allen, a generational type talent at quarterback, and they can't get to the conference champion. They can't get to where they have to go. They've been to one conference championship game. And so I don't believe they will, but when you really break the game down, it was very similar to the game they played in Kansas City where the Tony lined up off sides. I mean, the Buffalo Bills controlled time of possession. They controlled the game, had the ball for 37-plus minutes, but they could never stop, really, Kansas City. Kansas City hurt themselves with an interception and a fumble in that game. In this game, we had the Hardeman fumble, which would have put the game further away. Fortunately, they were able to get on the fumble that Allen had. So defensively, for all the conversations and all that talk, this Bills team couldn't throw the ball very effectively, couldn't make big plays yesterday. And then when you only put a team in 5 third downs all day, I mean, how do you think you're going to win that game?
That I can't believe. 5. I mean, they just. What were the yards? Would you say yards per play were? 7.
It was 7.7 to 4.7. I mean, Kansas City barely had. Kansas City only had the ball for 22 minutes. See, time of possession is a meaningless number if you don't score touchdowns. This game was a living testament to how I believe you must run the football. But if you don't make explosive plays in the passing game, it's hard to score points. Buffalo went from the 3-minute mark remaining in the third quarter to the end of the game without scoring another point. And so, therefore, you're not going to win games if you don't score in the fourth quarter. Now, people say, well, they missed a field goal. Well, it's never one play. If Diggs catches the deep pass, it would have changed the whole game. But this offense has really had a hard time really being explosive in the passing game. And defensively, they're small. People can run the football. We saw Cincinnati do it last year. I mean, Kansas City doesn't even want to run the ball, and they ran it down. Pacheco didn't play in the game before. Nobody talked about that. And he played in this game, and he was the difference in the game because he's really hard to tackle. I thought Kansas City's tackling in this game was probably the biggest thing that they did poorly because they were willing to let them run the football. They weren't going to give up a play down the field.
Okay, so then looking forward to the AFC title game. It depends on where you look. The Ravens are either 3 minus 120 or 3.5 even money as the favorite here at home to the Chiefs. Which side do you lean early on in the week here, Michael?
I lean Baltimore. I think Baltimore will play much better defense against Kansas City. Look, I think, and I've said this on my show and I've said it on the pod, Kansas City has played much better offensively over the last 3 weeks. They've stopped trying to be a big play offense, and they just tried to run their offense. They've gone back to old school West Coast, and Mahomes has really done a wonderful job of taking the profits. He's not trying to force it. He's reading it out. He's making the throws that he makes. And, they're willing to run the football. But Baltimore does a good job of making teams play left-handed. And then when you really watch Kansas City, go back to the Raider game. When the Raiders had the ball and the Chiefs were kind of getting back into the game on the final drive, what happened? The Raiders ran the ball down their throat, put the game away. You can run the football on Kansas City. You can. And if you can run the ball and Baltimore can run the ball effectively, it sets up everything that they do. And they will be able to win the matchups on the outside, something that Buffalo couldn't do. And I think that's what favors them. So I lean Baltimore early in the week.
Okay, so you can also run the football. As the Packers showed on Saturday night, Aaron Jones, I thought, should have had more carries in that game. That could have been like some sort of a blueprint here for the Lions, but do you trust this team to run the ball enough against the 49ers, even if it's working?
I think you have to run the ball to slow down their rush. The key to the game is always, can you keep their defensive line from affecting the game? And that's the one thing the Packers did. They were able to, you didn't hear Bosa's name mentioned. You didn't hear Chase Young's name mentioned. But what happened was they did a great job of adjusting the game plan out. And on the last 4 drives of the game, Jordan Love was not a very good player. He was not effective in those last 4 drives of the game, and that's really at the end of the day what cost them. When you're watching the game live, you feel like they're going to make plays, but he wasn't able to make the plays in the red zone, and he wasn't able to. Actually, San Francisco outgamed them 5.7 per play to 5.2. That's not going to be the case when they play the Lions. I'm not quite sure how the Lions keep winning, the way they give up yards on defense. I know they're good offensively, and I know their offensive line does a good job, but, to me, that was a game that Tampa had a chance. They just had too many negative plays. Credit Detroit for having blitzes timely. I don't think that's going to happen against San Francisco. And I was shocked that the Bucs were able to run the ball effectively against the Lions.
Yeah.
If Kyle Shanahan can run the ball on you, you're in real trouble.
Well, that's a good point there, too. All your years in the league and being a GM, what do you think of Ben Johnson with 4 interviews this past weekend and Aaron Glenn with 2?
Well, I mean, those guys, they're not really in-depth interviews, right? They're not spending a lot of time going over the team that they're interviewing for. They're going over who they are and what they do and kind of what they see their vision for. So I think that's it's a get to know you. When you look at Ben Johnson, you wonder, he looks like a guy who calls plays. I don't know what he'll be like as a leader, right? He doesn't have to worry about leading the Lions because that's Campbell's job. Campbell handles all that. I think Ben Johnson's a really good strategist. He's a really good tactician in terms of calling plays. I just don't know what his personality's like. He's from the Adam Gase school. Adam Gase trained him. That's where he's from. That's how he ended up getting to Detroit. So it'll be interesting. And I think those interviews that he's having is really about getting to know him and what kind of leader he is more than what he thinks of your team and how he would build that team.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so if we get chalk this weekend, you like the Ravens. Sounded there like you're leaning the 49ers as well because the Lions probably won't continue to get away with what they have been. If that happens, DraftKings right now, they have up the 49ers a 1.5-point favorite. We just saw the game on Christmas night. It was a bloodbath. Ravens killed them. What would you make of that number?
I'm shocked that the Niners – I think the Niners' power rating's a little off, especially when you look defensively. You can make plays on them defensively. Now, you've got to be balanced and throw the football. I think it's the year of Harbaugh. I've been saying it on my show. I think it's the year of Harbaugh. I think that this Raven team is connected. I mean, that's a 31-3 game without the punt return. They dominated the game. They made great adjustments in the second half. Look, I like San Francisco's team as well, but I think once you play them, and if you can play from in front and neutralize their defensive line, which hasn't been dominant, right? Like that, you barely felt that defensive line out there. Now, maybe it was because the field was slide. They'll have a hard time against the Lions because the Lions can protect, right? We said that about the Packers. The Packers could pass protect. They were going to be able to throw the ball because they could. Now, credit Steve Wilks for adjusting his game and really forcing it. And Aaron Jones, like you said earlier, he ran the ball, probably should have run it more. I think Baltimore's the best team that I've seen so far.
Give me some dirt. What are you hearing here about what happened with these coaching moves? And let's start with your friend Belichick.
Well, I think, look, Belichick is, he's going through it's the discovery process too, right? So they're going to find out about him. The one thing about the NFL that you have to know and understand as fans is there's a lot of self-preservation. You bring Belichick into your company, there's a lot of people that aren't going to be there anymore. So people are fighting to keep their jobs. It's the same thing in every other place. I think there's a surprise candidate at the Chargers that no one really knows about. And I think there could be a decision coming there. Ooh. I don't know if it's going to be Harbaugh or not, but I think there is a surprise candidate there. I think some of these jobs will start to kind of resonate. Carolina, it seems like Dan Morgan's going to become the general manager, and then they're going to hire whether it's Dan Quinn, whether it's Evero, or whether they can get Ben Johnson. I don't know, but that's where they're headed. And I think ultimately Seattle will be a defensive coach, no question. I think Pat Graham's in good shape there in terms of what he wants to do, in terms of his interview process, and Aaron Glenn in Tennessee. But this is the week now, guys, where you can have in-person interviews, right? So they can bring you to the facility, and this is really when you peel back the layers and find out who's really involved.
In 30 seconds here, how big of a surprise are we talking? Not asking you to name names here, but if the Chargers would make a surprise hire, like is it a level 10? Like our socks are going to get knocked off?
I think it would be if this happens, I think it would be an 8. I mean, it's going to be a proven coach.
Okay. All right, Michael. Thank you as always. We appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
Yep, there you go. Lombardi Line today, 1 o'clock Eastern, 10 Pacific. New podcast as well with Femi Abemefe. It's called GM Shuffle out a little bit later on this morning.
I don't think it's going to happen now. Harbaugh would have been done already.
If it's a surprise and it's not Harbaugh, then does he go back to Michigan?
Maybe. Probably.
In-pocket plays are coming up next on Follow the Money. It's VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
To determine the winner of any given college basketball game.
Someone gives you 10,000 to 1 on anything. You take it. Take it. Take it.
I bet you $20 I can get you gambling before the end of the day. No way. I'll give you 3 to 1 odds. Nope. 5 to 1. Nope. line to win. You're on.
Well, as Johnny Avello told us from DraftKings, I mean, imagine if Tampa gets the 2-point conversion. There were sevens here at Circa. I saw as low as 5.5 as well. And I had 7 and 7.5 in plays. Oh, boy. But +6 with Tampa, no good, as that was a monster 2-point conversion. The decision is, I'm fine with the decision. I hate that play call. Every team to score a touchdown over the weekend, yes, that's a winner. Jordan Love, no interception, threw 2. That's a loser. C.J. Stroud, no interception plus money. That's a winner. Will there be a point in every quarter of every game? That was a winner. Mahomes, no interception, winner. He's plus money Sunday. Can't believe it. I'm going to bet it again. Chiefs +3, win outright. As I tweeted, they all cashed the same. 16 of the last 17 Peterborough United matches have gone over 2.5. Wow. Another winner as they get it done. And I'm adding, this is fun tonight. Can they keep it going? Can they get closer to this record? Winnipeg is in Boston tonight. Then they play the Maple Leafs back-to-back. Will someone score more than 3 goals against the Winnipeg Jets? I like the Bruins -130 on the money line. And at DraftKings, the team total over 2.5 is -170. Over 3.5 is +140. Can the Jets keep this going? As now it's a big stretch and a big week for the Winnipeg Jets coming up. So I'm adding the Boston Bruins tonight, though, in pocket in a great game.
All right. Part of me is happy the Bills are out because I can't figure out the Josh Allen props, getting them wrong every single game. The other part of me wants them to continue because I had futures on them to win the AFC. Anyway, this week I had the INT prop. No bueno. Loser. Cade Otton, over 20.5 receiving yards. Winner. Baker Mayfield, 275 plus yards, +148. Winner. 2 bets here on the Kelsey props. Over 60.5 receiving yards got there. That was -125. 70 plus on an alt number, +132. Also
Beautiful.
A winner. Buccaneers 6.5. Oh, that 2-point conversion was massive. Didn't get it. And so that was a loser.
I thought they were going to win the game. Detroit didn't put them away in the first half. And then Mayfield got hot, but then
I know it.
Credit to Goff and the Lions to get it back in the second half.
So no good on that bet, and I have nothing as of right now. I need to see more of these props come out that are going to be available here in Las Vegas for Championship Sunday. How'd you do with the in-play, by the way, betting this weekend? Because
mixed bag.
I did well to the Niners. It was just,
yep.
I've seen it 1,000 times. Like the Packers were going to blow that game, and they did. And then I gave some of it back yesterday, betting the Chiefs-Bills game under. And then
I was betting over.
Blew up in the first half.
Yeah, I was betting over at high numbers. I didn't think there would be stops coming, but that lost. I would have won a fortune if the Packers would have won. Get that. I had money line before, and then that was, yep. It did not look good from Jump Street between Purdy being erratic and then the success the Packers were having time and time again through the ground and on the ground and through the air. Put the VSiN experts to work for you. Start betting smarter with a VSiN Pro subscription. $199 for your first year. Promo code FTM. Access to everything we do with the brand new VSiN.com website. Daily best bets, betting splits to show you where the money and bets are moving every game. Great dog videos. The upcoming Super Bowl betting guide. FTM is your code. FTM for your first year. VSiN.com/subscribe.
So again, this Niners-Lions NFC title tilt, it's between 6.5 and 7. You're going to have various juice then on those numbers wherever you look. And the talking point here is how much would Deebo Samuel mean to this number if he can't play? Adam Schefter, about 50 minutes ago, tweeted out, 49ers consider it 50-50 as to whether Deebo is going to be able to play.
On a Monday?
I know it, right?
I'm with you. That's strange.
Mm-hmm. So Jason Logan with a good tweet. Jason's in the gambling space. Most books, as he points out, right now have the Niners 7, 6.5, depending on where you look with the juice. You ready for this, Pauly? The Niners averaged 31.4 points in 14 games with Samuel in and staying healthy. The Niners scored 17 points per game in the 3 games Samuel missed.
Yep.
That's a 2-touchdown difference.
That's why I pushed back with the McCaffrey MVP stuff.
Wow, was that big?
Deebo means a lot. Oh, yeah. But Lombardi made a good point, though, too. And shame on Canales for the play calling. But if White can have that success on the ground, what's going to happen with McCaffrey? They're going to have to do that too.
Well, does that continue, or does it go back to the original Lions team where you couldn't run on him? I would think that McCaffrey could because he's so good, but also
Detroit just can't. What?
I'll leave it at that. Yeah.
All right. Detroit can't stop anything right now. That's the biggest takeaway. All you have to do is contain Hutchinson. Give the quarterback time to throw. He's going to pick you apart.
Yeah.
I mean, look what Otten and Evans did. I mean, look, every single week they're getting torched. Nick Mullins throwing for 400 on him twice.
It goes back for several weeks. It's beyond weeks, actually. It's now months with how quarterbacks have played against this defense and how leading receivers have torched them. And it happened again. Mike Evans led the entire divisional round in yards, and Mayfield did the same thing passing the ball.
Today's the anniversary of Kobe going for 81 against the Raptors. We were watching that game live. Oh, what a performance.
That was on Championship Sunday, was it not?
When the Patriots blew the big lead to Peyton Manning, it was Rashae Caldwell.
Oh, bug eyes.
Dropped a wide open pass. Yep. 3 years ago today, Dan Campbell was introduced, had the press conference. They would be biting kneecaps. I mocked him. People laughed at him. What a job. Here he is. Gary Myers, by the way. The Lions are the only team that's been around for the entire Super Bowl era and not played in the Super Bowl. They're one step away from doing this now. Obviously, the Browns went away for a couple years. And to think this guy is the guy that can do it, what a job. Good for him.
This city, for it to be in Las Vegas, if the Lions could get here, again, Lions-Bills would have been the ultimate matchup of all time, but one of them getting there would be. Now, how about this? How big of an angle is this going to be if the Chiefs get by the Ravens this week? Because you saw Jason Kelce. I got a big kick out of it. I know other people are going to be sick of the Kelces here if they're not already.
Oh, it's going to be bad. Oh, please, Baltimore, win. I like Jason.
I don't think it's going to be that bad.
You don't think it's going to be bad?
No, because Taylor Swift's on tour.
No, I'm not saying like have the cameras around her house. It's just going to be nonstop 2 weeks of Kelce, Swift stuff. Because they
look at this guy. Now this is Jason pre-gaming with the Bills Mafia, and you knew he was going to be in rare form during this game because whatever this is, drinking out of a bowling ball.
Oh my God.
And he chugs the whole thing and he slams it down, and he's got the parka on, the heavy gloves, and then when he made it inside the actual stadium.
Right. So there's an unbelievable shot where they show Taylor Swift after a Kelce reception, and he's slamming a beer behind her with no shirt on.
Oh, yeah. He's got the shirt off the entire... Look at this.
Yeah.
He was a complete lunatic yesterday. The Bills fans couldn't get enough of it, obviously.
He jumped out of the suite into the crowd.
Oh, yeah.
And now look at this. Slams the beer and then hops right up and goes back in the suite. And Taylor Swift doesn't know what to make of it.
As some were saying, this guy would kill it if this was a combine event.
No kidding. Look at the agility. And coming in and just jumps in with the fans, shotguns a beer, and then comes right back and jumps back in the suite. So someone, a media member who knows him, for a reference, asked him, how drunk were you, or how many beers did you have at the parade when you won the Super Bowl? He said 20. He goes, okay, on 20 beers. What's your scale then, 1 to 10? He goes, I'm a 5. You're a 5? He was a 5, 20 beers in terms of the drunk scale.
In terms of he was only drunk on a scale?
Right, 20 beers. That's what he said.
Well, he's a big fella.
Right, so then how many did he have yesterday, the whole day, and then what's the scale there?
I'm going to guess the equivalent of more than 20 beers because it was beers and what are you drinking out of a bowling ball?
Yeah, right. This is Andre the Giant now.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he's crushing.
I got a buzz going. I'm 27.
How many did you need, Andre, to get drunk? Well, I mean, I had 105 so far. So, talk to me when I reach 120 beers, I might get drunk.
Like the anesthesia. Like putting down an elephant.
Oh, yeah.
When Andre the Giant had to have surgery.
How much do you need? We have no idea.
We don't know.
Load him up.
20 beers, I'm only a 5.
Anyway, I found that wildly entertaining. That's pretty cool for a football player who's good as Jason Kelce is to be doing that with the fans. Okay, if it's going to be nonstop Kelce and Swift, is that going to be easily avoidable, though? I think it is. If you want to find it, I think you're going to be able to find it. Here's if the Chiefs make the Super Bowl, imagine what the Kelce media night surrounding is going to look like. There will be 3,000 media members around him.
Yeah.
They're not going to care about anybody else. Patrick Mahomes, who?
Yeah.
Because that's where everybody across the world, they cover it for whatever outlet they work for, and it has nothing to do with sports most of the time.
What a job, though. 6 straight trips to the AFC title game. You think this guy is good?
You see what I'm saying, though?
Wow.
Like, part of me wants the Ravens.
I know.
The other part is like, you're going to bet against Mahomes? Really? If you miss any of the show today, you can search Follow the Money wherever you get your podcasts. Fast one today. Enjoy it. Good luck tonight. We'll see you.